Ravel Morrison is a player I rate very, very highly. And one thing for sure, whenever he plays for Jamaica, he certainly gives his all. But is Ravel Morrison savior for Jamaica? And what is the issue where Ravel Morrison is concerned? What is the issue? So for the past couple of weeks, one of the biggest questions, quite a lot of the Reggae Boyz fans are asking, why would the coach leave Ravel Morrison out of the Gold Cup squad? So that was the big question. Why was he not included in the 60-man pool? Definitely, he deserved to be included in the 60-man pool. So a lot of the supporters were upset about that. But the big issue here, ask yourself the question, is Ravel Morrison the savior of the Reggae Boyz midfield? Is that the case? And is that the reason why so much of the supporters are upset that he was not at the Gold Cup? Or supporters just were upset because that's also another reason to be upset about. All right, so welcome back, people, to MG Sports TV. Thank you very much again for tuning in. I'm not asking to like the video now because people not complain, so boy. I ask to like the video before me even start doing anything. So I leave that alone. I'll just straight into the detail, and I can guarantee you, despite me jump straight into the detail, when you still not go like the video, and you're gonna see the case. So I'm gonna put that at the end of the video. Anyways, so Ravel Morrison is the talk or the discussion, talk of the season. The discussion of the season, because how Reggae Boyz supporters operate, we have particular season where we discuss players. So for example, no, I'm going to discuss that. Norman Campbell, Trevante Stewart, Junior Flemings. I'm going to do a different video on that discussion because I keep on hearing that discussion being thrown around. So I'm going to do a different video on that. So whenever there's something happen, a squad is being selected, we tend to identify one particular player, either in the squad or not in the squad, and we'll lament on it because we want to expose our point that something is going wrong. So for this time around, especially the Gold Cup, the absence of Ravel Morrison was a big talking point. Now, the big question is Ravel Morrison the savior of the Reggae Boyz team and also the savior of the Reggae Boyz midfield? What we're going to do, we're going to look at the data that is available. I did some research. And all of this are data on Ravel Morrison. All of this. The data when him start, in debut, much games, all them something there. We're going to jump into that. So, definitely would appreciate it. No, leave it alone. Let's jump straight into the meeting matter. All right. So, here we go now. Ravel Morrison debut was on the 14th of November, 2020, when we played against Saudi Arabia. He was welcomed with open arms by the Jamaica supporters. I mean, the Jamaican supporters really love what they saw. The thing is, Ravel Morrison was highly touted in England about the talent that he had by Rio Ferdinand, Alex Ferguson. All of these big name personnels in football speak about how talented he was, even more talented, quote unquote, than even Paul Pogba and all these top players. The problem is, most of the Reggae Boyz supporters don't know what's the issue, but there is a particular issue where Ravel Morrison is concerned, where he's unable to lock down on a club, he's able to see out a contract for 2 years. He's just unable to do all of those things. So there is other issues. Now, in recent interview, we did a recent interview speaking about the fact that persons are using his past to evaluate his situation, also his current situation. I'm unsure who is really referring that to, because I'm not sure if it's the clubs that are in the market right now, because he's a talent for sure, undoubtedly. He's a talented player. But he made a reference, I'm not sure if that pointed directly to somebody or some clubs or something like that, but he made that reference. And a lot of persons are looking into it and said, yeah, fair enough, it's time for a lot of persons or people to move past that and look at what the player is doing right now and what he has to offer. Now he's currently playing at Precision FC. I'm unsure what the contract situation is like at Precision FC. It's not necessarily the highest level, but He's currently playing football. Now the coach did stated that he's selecting players based off data available, the usage of the player, what the player can offer to the team. Then now Ravel Morrison was not selected in the 60-man pool, and a lot of supporters were said, okay, there's no data available for Mikel Antonio for the last 6-7 months, but he was selected. But Ravel Morrison selected in the same reference, so Ravel Morrison was not selected, but in the same reference to Shaman Nicholson. So we get that out of the way. Now, as I mentioned in regard to the question, how can we really identify and understand why he was not selected? But the problem is, he's Steve McLaren, the reason why Ravel Morrison was not selected. A lot of the supporters also make claim, quote unquote, claim that Steve McLaren just have issues, or Steve McLaren have issues with the player. For me, I don't really subscribe to that. So let me go on to the numbers. Let's start off with his debut and also what are his numbers on the all coaches so far since he made his debut for the Reggae Boyz. Let's start off. November the 14th, 2020, on the topper, Theodore Tapper Whitmore. Theodore Tapper Whitmore had started 16 games between the time period of Ravel debut to he stepped out of the office. During those 16 games, Ravel Morrison on the top of Whitmore had 6 appearances. 1 win, that was one of the wins versus Saudi Arabia, 2-1, 2 draw, 3 losses. Now, a lot of the persons were complaining that Tapper Whitmore did not like Ravel Morrison, despite Ravel Morrison is the type of player similar to him, all this type of stuff. But the complaint at the moment was that Tapper Whitmore did not like Ravel Morrison. He just never like, probably like flair players. So that was the complaint. Now, Tapper Whitmore stepped out of the office. Then we saw Paul Hall came in. And this is where Ravel Morrison came to light. This is where he got most of his appearances. Paul Hall had 10 games under his belt for the national setup. And in those 10 games, Ravel Morrison played 8 games. 8 games. So no issues there. Reggae Boyz supporters were happy. They're seeing Ravel Morrison. Unfortunately, it did not necessarily change the tide where the results are concerned. We only registered 2 wins under Paul Hall and 2 draw and 4 losses. So it didn't necessarily change the tide of things. Paul Hall stepped out of office, and in came Himir Al Grimson to take over things. And under Himir Al Grimson, he had 28 games. 28 games under his belt. And Ravel Morrison only made 4 appearances. During that same time period, it was stated that Al Grimson didn't like Ravel Morrison. Al Grimson played negative football, so Ravel Morrison could not suit Al Grimson. The JFF is the reason why Al Grimson is not calling Ravel Morrison. So it's quite interesting. When Al Grimson did call Ravel Morrison for the 4 appearances, in those 4 appearances, Al Grimson had 2 draws, 2 losses. So really and truly, it didn't make an impact. And if you check it out, most of those games, he got minimal minutes, 16 minutes, 20 minutes here, 15 minutes there. Those are the minutes that he normally registered. The most minutes he played would have played under Paul Hall. He got a lot of minutes, the 90 minutes, such and such. And as I mentioned, still only had 2 wins and had the huge 4 losses. But then now Steve McLaren, so far 17 games under his belt. Ravel Morrison had 3 appearances, 2 wins and 1 draw, which end up into a loss. That's a penalty versus Nigeria. And so a lot, and because of that, 70 games, only 3 appearances, with the supporters gone right back to the same thing that they said under Tapper Whitmore, under Al Grimson. They're saying now with Ravel Morrison under Steve McLaren that the coach have issue with the coach doesn't rate the player. JFF is not, doesn't rate the player, and JFF is the reason why the player is not selected. Like JFF tell the coach not to select Ravel Morrison. So we went to the same issue under this all 3 coaches, but I think a lot of the supporters, it's easier to pinpoint and blame someone else rather than saying what the issue with the player is. It's very easy to point at the JFF, very easy to point at the head coaches, not just one, not just Steve McLaren, head coaches, which is Tapper Whitmore, and Al Grimson. When he came and played for the Jamaica team under Paul Hall, I didn't really hear anyone saying that JFF is the reason why Paul Hall selected him. I selected Ravel Morrison. No, they said that Paul Hall was the one who selected Ravel Morrison. But albeit you have to understand, supporters speak mostly out of their emotions. They don't look on the facts. Now, another fact on the table is you have to wonder yourself. We have during Ravel Morrison's debut, since Ravel Morrison debut up until now, the Reggae Boyz team have played 73 games. Ravel Morrison has partake in 21 of those and 21 appearances, 5 wins under his belt, 9 losses, and 7 draw. Yeah, that's about 35% win ratio. That's kind of low, but at the end of the day, the supporters still want to see the player. I think it's more so how the player makes you feel, because we all know he's very talented, but there is something else that is there that we aren't privy to. Something else that is there that we aren't getting access to surrounding the player. What is it? I don't know. But one thing for sure, it's not only with the Reggae Boyz setup. We have seen Ravel Morrison change multiple clubs throughout his career. Multiple clubs throughout his career, and able to lock down a long-term contract. And you'd have to ask yourself the question, if it's not with the national team, it's not with also the clubs that he's playing for, then what is the issue? So much coaches speak highly of him, but yet still a lot of those coaches not taking a chance on him. That means there's something, again, I'm saying, that we're not privy to. That's why I'm asking the question. Is Ravel Morrison really savior? From the fans' perspective, that could be the case. But from the coaches that he's worked under, that's not the case. So the question, you can ask the question as well. Should Ravel Morrison be a part of the squad? Of course, definitely there's a position here in the squad for him. Is he better than a lot of the players that were seen being called? Yes, he is. But it's not down to me to decide. And yes, I would have him in the squad. But you also have to ask the question, why aren't the coaches taking the gambling on him? So, again, what's the issue? Anyways, if you know the issue, people, smash the like button. It's JFF the issue. It's Steve McLaren the issue. It's Emir Al Grimson the issue. It's Theodore Tapper Whitmore the issue. Are the multiple other coaches that did not take the chance on him? Tell us what you think, people. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys again. Until next time, hit the like button, people. I said at the end of the video. Hit the like button. Big up on yourself, people. MG Sports TV. Road. God bless. Outside. Boom. And I mean...